In 1590, over 100 people vanished from the face of the earth. Not one body, not one grave, no signs of violence, just gone. And for over 400 years, we've been told this was one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. We've been fed stories of ghosts, alien abductions, and supernatural curses. But what if I told you it's not unsolved at all? What if the real mystery is why the truth was quietly removed from the story? Because the Roanoke Colony didn't disappear the way you think it did. And by the end of this video, that word carved into a tree, CROATOAN, is going to mean something completely different to you. Before we get into what happened, let me say this clearly. If you learned about Roanoke in school, you have learned the simplified version, the version that fits into a textbook, the version that makes for a great campfire story but a terrible historical record. We love the Lost Colony narrative because it feels like a ghost story. It's spooky, it's neat, it has a beginning, a middle, and a shrug at the end. But history is rarely that neat. The reason the story matters isn't just history, it's about narrative. It's about who gets to decide which stories survive and which ones are burned underneath the floorboards of time. To understand why they disappeared, we first have to understand why they were there. And to do that, we have to go back and look at the desperation of the 16th century. Let's rewind to the late 1500s. England is a second-rate power. Spain is dominating the globe with gold from the Aztecas and the Incas. France is expanding. England is late, and they are desperate. Queen Elizabeth needs a win. She grants a charter to Sir Walter Raleigh to establish a permanent foothold in the New World. The first attempt in 1585 was a military disaster. It was all men, all soldiers, and they treated the local population with such brutality that they had to flee back to England. In 1587, they tried something different. A colony of settlement. More than 100 people, men, women, children. This wasn't a military outpost, it was a community. It was a gamble on a future, and almost immediately the gamble started to fail. Supplies are low, food is scarce, and the memory of the first failed colony still lingers in the mind of the local CROATOAN and CROATOAN people. Relations are complicated, to say the least. The settlers realize they won't survive the winter without help. So without Governor John White makes a heartbreaking decision. He has to leave his daughter Eleanor and his newborn granddaughter Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. He sails back to England to get help. He promises he'll be back in 6 months. He doesn't come back for 3 years. This part usually gets glossed over. People think, oh, he just got delayed. No, he was trapped. As White arrived in England, the Spanish Armada launched its massive invasion. Queen Elizabeth ordered every single English ship to stand the fight. White begged for a vessel, but the war for England's survival took priority over 115 people on a tiny island across the Atlantic. Imagine those 3 years. For White, it was 3 years of pacing the docks, watching the horizon, knowing his family was starving. For the colonist, it was 3 years of silence. 3 years of wondering if England had fallen. 3 years of realizing that help was not coming. But when he finally made it back in 1590, he expects to find survivors, or remains, or at least the charred ruins of a massacre. Instead, the colony is orderly. The houses aren't burned down. They've been dismantled, carefully. No blood in the dirt, no skeletons in the brush, no graves in the clearing. It looks like people didn't run away, they packed up. It was a relocation. And then he sees it. Carved into a wooden post of the fort's entrance is one word in all capital letters: CROATOAN. This is where the mystery usually begins, but this is actually where the mystery should end. Before White left, he and his colonists had a secret code, a very specific plan if they were forced to leave due to distress or attack. They were supposed to carve a Maltese cross in the name of their destination. There was no cross. Not on the tree, not on the post, nowhere. This wasn't a disappearance. This was a planned move to a prearranged location. CROATOAN wasn't a cryptic curse. CROATOAN was an island 50 miles south. It was the home of the CROATOAN tribe, people who had been friendly to the English from the start. In plain English, the message said we couldn't wait any longer and we went to live with our friends. So if the answer is sitting right there in the carving, why do we call it a mystery? Because if the colonists survived, joining the Native Americans, it ruins the founding myth of America. If that story is true, then the first English settlers didn't conquer the wild. They failed at being English. They abandoned their civilized clothes, their religion, and their identity to survive. They chose to become part of a culture that European history books wanted to portray as savage. Think about it. It's much easier for the 19th century historian to write that they were mysteriously lost than to admit that English women and children chose to live, marry, and have children with the CROATOAN people. One is a ghost story, the other is a blow to colonial ego. And the evidence isn't just in the carving. Over the years, the clues have been everywhere. Archaeologists have found 16th century English gold rings and tool fragments in native villages far from Roanoke. In the 1600s, when later settlers arrived, they reported seeing native children with gray eyes and fair hair who spoke bits of broken English. Modern DNA testing has shown markers in local families that trace back to the exact regions of England that these settlers came from. They didn't die, they just stopped being the colony and started being the people. The Roanoke Colony didn't disappear. It adapted, it evolved, and history quietly changed the ending to make sure we didn't look too closely at the failure of the empire. The real mystery of Roanoke isn't where did they go. It's why did we pretend they never went anywhere at all? Because once you accept this story, you start questioning a lot of other mysteries too. If you want more videos like this, the kind that actually make you rethink what you were taught, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notification. History is written by victors, but the truth is hidden beyond the map.